Hello there, welcome to this week's video of the top 10 movers in the Scarlet and Violet era. This week we've got a slight breakaway from previous videos in the sense that we're not talking just about promotional cards from the set. There are some other cards in the mix. So to kick things off, we're going to be looking at the Gardevoir EX from the Paldean Fate set. This has jumped from £4 to £9, and looking at the charts, it's pretty clear to see what's been going on. It's been a fairly consistent card, one of these mini shinies or baby shinies from the set, and in the past week it has doubled in price. As I said in previous videos, I think this is probably down to people looking at other Gardevoirs that are fairly cheap and buying those with the expectation that with the popularity around the new Gardevoir cards from Mega Evolutions, that other Gardevoir cards may increase in price as well. Okay, number 2 on our list, we have got the EVEX card, a promotional card from the Scarlet and Violet era. Now, this card has been reasonably expensive for the past couple of months, but it has been fairly consistent. But as we can see, there has been a reasonably sharp climb in the value of the card, and then in the past week there has been a significant jump from £26 to £40 on US markets. That is a 53% jump in value. And again, another promotional card that has seen a lot of interest. It is Eevee. It's got that prismatic evolution style that's ever so popular with this set, so it's not surprising that it is receiving a lot of interest. Okay, number 3 on our list, we have the Mimikyu, a card that has featured on this list a number of weeks in a row. A reasonably cheap card historically, but has jumped significantly in the past couple of weeks. Used to be around £4, but again, a lot of buyouts pushing that price up. And as you can see, it's been a very turbulent September for this card. Obviously, an initial buyout pushing the price over £11, but this has dropped back down. I suspect as others start to flood the market with their Mimikyus, obviously being lots in circulation. Okay, number 4 on our list, we have Mousehold from the Paldea Evolved set. This card has jumped from £33 in the previous week to £46 this week, a significant increase of 38%. And as we can see, this is a card that was relatively stable up until fairly recently, but over the past month and a half, we've seen lots of jumps in value. A very, very beautiful card. Lots and lots going on here. I am particularly obsessed with mushrooms, so this sings beautifully to my interests. But I always think Pokemon cards where Pokemon are eating just have the added layer of cuteness. So potentially a card that is going to continue to hold its value. Okay, number 5 on our list, we have Team Rocket's Wobbuffet, another promotional card from the Destined Rivals set. This is the Pokemon Center stamped version, therefore carrying a much higher value than the non-Pokemon Center stamped version. And as we can see, this card has seen a tremendous growth upwards from a reasonably stable £55-ish price point, and then in the past month it has doubled in price up to over £100. A beautiful card. But yes, a very significant increase. It will be very interesting to see whether this and the other Pokemon Center stamped promotional cards continue to hold their value as new sets come out. Okay, number 6 on our list, we have the Koraidon promotional card. Now, this card has been an incredibly cheap card up until fairly recently, where we've seen a fairly solid increase from around £2.50 to £5 in the past week. We've gone from £4 to £5.21 on American markets. Likely to be a couple of pounds more on British markets, but as you can see, this is a fairly significant increase. Now, I know this is a cheap card, but again, I suspect this is part of people looking at promotional cards from the set, buying those out and hoping that the cards will receive the kind of pumping that other promotional cards have received from Scarlet and Violet. Number 7 on our list, we have the Meowscarada EX card from Paldea Evolved, and looking at the charts, it's had a reasonably stable price point throughout most of its history, up until recently, where we have seen a huge increase in price. It still remains an incredibly cheap card. However, and I've always kind of thought this These are ultra rare cards. Their drop rates, their their hit rate, so to speak, is, I believe, less than 1%. I think it's 0.5%, but I might be making that up. It's incredibly low compared to some of the other cards. So there are a lot fewer of these cards in circulation, but they've never really carried much of a premium. There's never been a lot of interest in gold cards. However, I do wonder whether, alongside the gold card releasing in Mega Evolution, and perhaps again people looking for the next big card, get the card before it jumps up, people are starting to look at gold cards a little bit differently. And when you can pick these up for less than £4, it does make sense to give it a go. It's a low risk investment. So I suspect a couple of these factors may be pushing the price of this, and I suspect other gold cards up. Okay, number 8 on our list, we have the Roaring Moon EX. Now, this is an absolutely beautiful card from an incredible artist. Shinji Kanda strikes again with another fabulous artwork. Now, this card is a special illustration rare and has always enjoyed a very high price point. But what's been quite interesting is there's been a slight decline in its value up until very recently, and then in the past month it has jumped almost, I would say, 50%. This week 22%. I would not be shocked if this was simply part of people looking at Shinji Kanda's cards, particularly thinking of the Magikarp and the Seismitoad, that have absolutely gone insane, and looking at some of his other cards and thinking, what's going to be next? We've seen similar price fluctuations around the Magnetron, and I suspect the Galarian Moltres may flicker a little bit, but this being a card that is low in population numbers, being a special illustration rare, definitely a card that could go the same way as some of his other artworks. But yes, very beautiful card. A huge price jump. I do suspect we're going to continue to see this card grow. So yeah, be very interesting to see what happens in the next few weeks. Okay, number 9 on the list, we have the Houndsdoom from Shrouded Fable, a popular card from a set that perhaps doesn't have that many popular artworks in it. However, this one has historically done fairly well, but as you can see, in the past few weeks we've had a little bit more turbulence, a little bit more of a climb upwards, and then in the past week we've had a good jump in value, 20% from 24 to 29. And why not? It is a cheap card and it is absolutely beautiful, very moody, very dark, absolutely lovely, almost charcoal-esque, pencil-esque artwork going on here. I would imagine this will continue to grow as sets become harder to get hold of. But yeah, absolutely not shocked here. I do suspect we're going to continue to see this card grow. Okay, number 10 on our list, we have the Eevee Cosmos Holo promotional card from the Scarlet and Violet era. Now, interestingly, not a full art rare, and I would say, off the top of my head, one of the most expensive non-full art cards from the era. This has, of course, been reasonably cheap up until the past 2 or 3 months. Now, of course, it is an Eevee card, and it's not shocking that this has started to climb in value. It is a promotional card, and as we know, those have seen a good increase in value over the past couple of months. So yeah, what's there to say? It's a beautiful card. There's going to be quite a lot of these in circulation, but I do suspect people will be collecting them because people like to have a binder of EVs. And other people will be looking at this card thinking maybe, obviously not going to be very expensive in the long run, but certainly a card that if you're picking it up for £2 or £3 could probably flip later down the line for £7 or £8, maybe slightly more. So not the worst investment, very low risk. Okay, thank you for watching. Those of you that have watched some of the previous videos may have noticed there's been some changes this week. I've changed the fonts. It's very exciting. I do love this font, Trade Winds. Very sexy. And you may have also noticed I've added the trend line, sort of reflecting the average value of the cards in the sets. What I'm trying to do is provide some more contextual information. So in the case of the Eevee, we can see that obviously the Eevee's gone up, but it's very much in line with other promotional cards in the set. I don't think this is the best way of providing contextual information, and overlaying them in the same graph has not been massively affected because some of the cards are worth, any card worth in the hundreds is going to make the overall set line very, very small, and we're not going to be able to see the nuances in the changes. I am going to continue to look at finding ways to contextualize card increases and decreases to provide everyone with a little bit more information. Anyway, thank you for watching and have a great day.